Welcome to the Trio Blood Podcast. I am your host, Christian Dior Creasy.
I'm Lionel Chapman.
Ira Childs.
And today we are discussing our new episode of Supernatural 2. Well, titled Supernatural 2. So let's get to it, guys. Our first classic film that set the tone for the found footage is no other than the Blair Witch Project.
Yes. This film started a whole movement. Actually, it started a brand new genre.
Yeah.
But what makes this movie stick out the most is the marketing that the production team took.
Yeah.
Making it something no one could remember, but it kind of seemed true, throwing that based on a true story thing going there, and setting it in the woods.
Yes. Who was directed by?
That was directed by Daniel Myrick and Eduardo Sanchez.
And a shout out to Eduardo Sanchez and Daniel Merritt.
8 days to make, 8 months to edit.
Wow.
That's crazy.
I remember when this film came out and when you talked about the marketing, I thought it was a true story too.
Everybody thought it was a true story.
I was like, oh crap, man, this happened for real?
Right.
I was like, witches is for real? Back then, I was like, what the heck?
Right. The movie came out in 99 and they were basing it in 93. So you really can't, I know I found myself trying to remember, did this really happen? And so, first thing you telling everybody, whoa, it was based on a true story. It was based on a true story.
Yeah.
So, gotta be real,
Word of mouth.
That's how
Right.
Tony Hooper did when he did Texas Chainsaw Massacre. He did the same thing with the twist. I mean, it's great. I mean, it was a great film too. It was scary as hell.
Yeah.
I mean, that movie had the effect like Jaws had an effect on people. People were scared to go in the woods hunting, hear a little twig pop. You're like, what the fuck? Like, what the heck? And I mean, it was practical effects, and I love how it was shot, like the found footage, and it was shot like a home video.
Yes. So if you haven't seen it, take some aspirin or Tylenol right before because the camera's just shaking everywhere. But that effect still doesn't take away from the movie.
First of its kind.
Yes,
Yeah.
it was.
And it was so prominent. This film was so prominent. You had the Waynes making a parody of it in Scary Movie.
You're doing something right when someone makes fun of your successful movie.
Yeah, you doing a good job. And the movie was made what? Well, I read from my research was 35,000, but on there probably says what 65,000.
60, I think 60,000.
The budget?
Yeah.
Well, no, it says it was 200,000 to 500,000, and it grossed over $250 million.
Wow.
Yes.
Regardless, it can be done.
Yeah. Making it one of the first independent films with a successful track record.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow. I mean, it just goes to show you how creative and original this is too, because this actually like springboarded this kind of style of film too. Quarantine was like that. Even George A. Romero, or Diary of the Dead, he did his film just like that, with the camcorder POV kind of thing. So,
When making this film, the directors gave the actors walkie-talkies and to make sure they wouldn't get lost, to assure them that they wasn't gonna get lost.
Yeah.
But the actors got lost probably 3 times.
did they?
Yeah.
And didn't he like fed them less and less?
As the day of filming went on, they was fed less and less, to get that natural reaction and hunger, that separation. Yeah. So.
I wonder if they ever like gave him some overworked them for overtime, give them that a loss of sleep deprivation too,
Yeah.
because that kind of experience you will lose some sleep.
Right.
Yeah.
You be tired, hungry, agitated, frustrated, scared,
Yeah.
at each other's throats.
And at some point, you can really just see it on the face.
Yeah.
So that would look good on camera. Quickly, you were actually right. It was 35,000 to 60,000, but the total for post production pushed it up to like 200, 200 to 500.
Okay.
For the budget.
Okay. But hey, either way, it can be done.
Yeah.
But when we talk about this next film soon, you talking about a low budget and how it just crushed the box office. I mean, if you haven't watched Blair Witch, check it out.
Check it out.
It definitely will have your heart pumping and your blood rushing everywhere.
Even Stephen King said that was one of the scariest movies that he ever saw.
I suggest you look at it in the daytime.
Yeah.
Have a watch party with multiple people.
Don't stay
Right.
near the woods.
And all you couples out there, you know, this is a good like cuddle movie.
Yeah.
Have your girl, you know.
Keep them lights on.
And speaking of, like, this next movie you can tell it was very influenced by Blair Witch. And this movie was made only $15,000, or at least close to $15,000. It made over 140 or 50 million at the box office. This is just domestic sales.
Yes.
And it was scary as hell too, and I can relate to it. It is none other than Paranormal Activity, directed and written by Oren Peli, if I'm pronouncing your name right. If I butcher it, I'm very sorry. Man, where you guys were when this film came out?
Man, all I know is I was excited to go see it.
I remember the marketing for this one as well. It had a limited theater run, and so they had the audience or people who heard about it, word of mouth was one of the best marketing things for this film, vote to try to get it in your state.
Yeah.
And when they showed the trailer, they were showing the audience reaction to what was going on the screen, and it just kind of intrigued you, like, why is people screaming and jumping and giving these interviews of, oh my God, this is the scariest movie I've ever seen. So naturally, that curiosity starts running, and you're like, hey,
Was that
I
the
wanna see
first?
it too.
Was
Yeah,
that,
it was the first
that was the
The
first
first
how they started marketing
Right,
the,
right.
the theater reaction.
Mm-hmm.
You know.
Yeah, and this one is so inspiration to other filmmakers like myself, because it can be done. Anything is possible. To take $15,000 and to gross and make this as a great franchise, that says a lot.
Yeah.
It's almost like $1 billion franchise.
Yeah.
And I mean, and I can relate to it. This one and the next one we're about to talk about, because being a Christian man, I do believe demons are real. I believe there are forces at play that wants, they're trying to plan our demise. I do believe in God and Jesus, and I can relate to it too, And it's like, well, you look at it, it's like, damn, I can't really leave this house. It's you that it won't. It's you that it takes. So it doesn't matter where we go.
Yeah, it's gonna follow.
It's gonna follow you, unless we break up. But yeah, I think that's what made it, like you said, the marketing that made this film so great too. Because I remember when the marketing came, I'm like, and the way they do the night vision, was
Right.
sick.
Yes, it was.
I was like, why are they so scary?
I gotta go see this.
Right.
We
It
gonna
just,
check this out.
just made you want to go see it. But the story itself it's a real simple story. It's basically a haunted house movie, and you can't take your eyes off of it because of the special effects.
Yeah,
It's a slow burn, but those special effects really get you into this film.
it does.
I was like, man, how did they make that happen?
Right.
Yeah, especially like she getting pulled and dragged,
Mm-hmm.
and oh, forgive me, something caught in my throat. And you put the powder on the floor,
Mhm.
and you see the footprints
Mhm.
Yeah.
and stuff like that. It's like, okay. And I like it because it's a natural feel. Like these are like real everyday people. The way it was shot, like the POV
Mhm.
and a camcorder
Yeah.
Mhm.
and recording it, and goes to show you how advanced the technology got too
Yes.
during that time. And the sequels was great. We should one day talk about the sequels.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, this movie started off a huge franchise. I mean,
It can go on forever.
yeah,
Yeah,
what?
real good.
And the new one is coming out, as if it's not already out.
It's out on Paramount. I think
Plus,
Paramount Plus. I think so.
okay,
Yeah.
yeah, because they do own the property or at least the distribution
Mhm.
of Paranormal Activity.
So if you guys haven't seen it, please
Mhm.
check this film out. You will enjoy it.
Yep.
One of its kind.
And our last film that I would say that is up there. Look, I know how to fight. I put this film up with The Exorcist. It's just equal play. I'm sorry. It has to be. And it's the one and only The Conjuring.
Man.
Directed by James Wan, written by the Hayes twins. Shout out to the Hayes twins. It is based on a true story, based on the real life Ed and Lorraine Warren, who were paranormal researchers.
The Warrens.
Oops.
The Warrens.
But I call them mighty women, mighty man and women of valor of God who was doing the work of the Lord, and it was trying to help people.
Yeah.
I mean, I remember when this film came out, I mean, they really scared the heck out of me. I remember taking off work in the summer. Right. Taking off work in the summer. I was working at the YMCA summer camp, and I took off work that day because I wanted to check this out. I went to the Century Theater in Evanston. Back then, when it was open, it's permanently closed now
Mhm.
after the pandemic. Paid my $6.
Mhm.
Went to the early bird. Man, I normally don't jump. When you jump, okay, you jump, you be scared. Okay, that's one. When you really scared, when you don't jump, but you get chills running down your spine, goosebumps all over your body, now that's scary. And when I watched The Conjuring, that's what they had me all when I was in that film, all day. It was just me and some few other people, and I'm like, oh, shoot, why I see this by myself?
Man.
I would go on record and say this franchise kind of saved the horror genre because
Yeah.
I believe it was dying because the slashers were from the 80s to mid 90s, and then we just kind of slowly saw it to on a decline.
Mhm.
And then this franchise or this series came out, and it really made horror movies scary again.
Yeah.
At the beginning, when we introduced it, we played violins. You see how important music is when it comes to horror films.
Yeah.
And this movie does it to a T, perfection,
Yeah.
in my opinion.
It wasn't no like cheap scares too, and I remember, and they really did great with the scares. Meaning it was a build up. Sometimes you didn't know what it just happened out of
Yeah.
left field.
Mhm.
You know, with these scares too. And I think what really stands out about this film is the real Ed and Lorraine Moore, because this is one of their case files.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And what really make this movie with the actors that played them too, and with them as well, they really care for people.
Yeah.
You can see it in the film, and if you ever watch interviews, YouTube them, watch their interviews, watch them talk, they really have a careness, a love to help people. I mean, that's what really stood out too. And when I was doing my research, their son-in-law said the same thing. He said they was normal people.
Mhm.
They really love people. They're the type who will bake you a cake for your birthday
Mhm.
if you was their neighbor or whatever the case may be, you know. And you can sit and talk to them about anything.
You know the production team built that 50-foot tree that was in front of the home?
Yeah.
That was real cool, you know.
Well, the witch hung herself.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That was crazy. When I saw that scene, I'm like,
The way they opened this film with that extreme close up on Annabelle.
yes.
You like, oh, what the? This ugly ass dog is in taking over the screen, and the story behind Annabelle is like, whoa, this movie is definitely on something different.
Yeah.
That's one of my most, what I want to say, best memories of the film. I love the film from beginning to end.
Yeah.
I was really scared with this one. Especially when everything started happening in the basement with the mom. And
Yeah.
it just really has you on the edge of your seat. Palms sweaty, a little shaking,
Yeah.
heart beating out of your chest. They really did that.
I think just the whole set, the design, the lighting, the acting. You know, the movie was so scary that in the Philippines, the viewers had to get blessed by an actual Catholic priest before even seeing this film.
Really?
Yeah, man.
Wow. That's powerful.
It is.
I know in the second one, when they filmed the sequel, they did have a priest to bless the set.
Mm-hmm.
Because they said some weird stuff did happen.
The
during
second
film.
one was amazing.
Yeah.
That one was just as scary.
We
And
actually seen that one together.
we went to the movies and saw it, yes.
You know,
we did.
they had the tall man, like the tall man in
The
there.
Crooked Man.
The Crooked Man,
Yeah.
exactly. The Crooked Man. That's the scenery. Like I said, it goes back to the lighting, the score.
Mm-hmm.
Everything plays a part to make this franchise work.
Right.
And that's where the nun was. The nun.
Introduced.
Yeah.
Man.
But back to the first one, with the Perrin family, Caroline Perrin, the mother and wife, then when she gave her account on her experience living in that farmhouse, they was living there for a long time until the children went off, grown up. But I believe, at least I think it was. She said her muscles began to ache walking the length of the house, which was, the farmhouse was like 110 feet long. Yeah. And she said, according to her experience, she said that was the beginning of her pain. She said one of her daughters, April, stated that the demonic spirit drained her mother's energy so severely she couldn't sleep. She would sleep in the bed for like 2 years. Couldn't hardly get out of bed because she became depressed, fearful for her children, and rightfully so.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, when I recommend, if you haven't, read The Demonologist by Ed and Lorraine Warren, when they give their account on certain, especially about Annabelle.
Mm-hmm.
One of the things they did say, when you come under demonic attack, it does drain you from energy, especially attack keep you from not sleeping too, and it stretched you out too. Like, of course.
Mm-hmm.
Another account is they would hear mournful and pitiful sadness of children throughout the house. They started to see multiple spirits in the house and came to learn about Bathsheba Sherman, the movie's antagonist. Carolyn told the Warrens about her experience. She woke up in a smell of smoke in her bedroom. She encountered Bathsheba. And the next time, face to face, Bathsheba told her next time we meet, she's going to kill her.
Wow.
But she did possess her.
Mm-hmm.
The real, besides from the story, from what I was doing my research, the Warrens did try to help. They did have a priest over to bless the house because the attacks was going so crazy. The husband like flipped out,
Mm-hmm.
punched Ed and whatever,
Mm-hmm.
and guess they left. But they eventually, which also, according to their oldest daughter, Andrea, that's what started their divorce too. And, they couldn't move out because all their last penny was tied up in the farmhouse too.
That's messed up.
But let me tell you this, I don't care if I have a penny or no money, I'm moving out that house. I'm like, if you want me out, I will go out. I will leave.
And
I have other family members.
the original title for this film was The Warren Files.
Oh.
That was going to be the original title.
That sounds like that can be a show,
Yes.
a TV show, The Warren Files. Yeah,
So
But the acting was top notch too.
it was.
yeah, it was.
The acting, they usually in horror movies you don't get great acting because it's more about the antagonist of the film.
Yeah,
But these actors were believable, funny, and relatable.
yeah,
Just like you said, you know, Ed and Lorraine were nice people. They would do things for. So seeing that on screen really made these people, so like characters, three-dimensional.
yeah. And shout out to Patrick and Vera for diving into these roles because they chemistry on the camera on these, even in the sequels, was on point.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, they really stick true to the nature of Ed and Lorraine Warren. And rest in peace, Lorraine Warren. She passed away in 2019. Yeah. So, yeah. So, if you haven't seen none of these films, check them out. Especially The Conjuring. It will
Check 'em
blow
out.
your mind.
It will.
Yeah. So,
Let me say one thing, fellas.
hmm
Hit the link below. Subscribe to our channel.
that's right.
You know.
You can follow us on TikTok, which is trio_of_blood, or our Instagram, trio_3_horror. And follow us. Also, you can listen to us on Amazon Music, iHeartRadio, and Spotify. So, until next time, don't be scared of the dark.